La pandemia del COVID-19 nos enseñó la importancia de mantenernos conectados por medio del Internet. El nuevo Programa de Beneficios de Emergencia de Banda Ancha o EBB provee a los hogares hasta $50 al mes para aliviar el costo de la conexión del Internet en casa. Este beneficio está disponible para las familias latinas sin importar su estatus legal, siempre y cuando haya algún miembro de la familia que tenga un número de ITIN o sea un estudiante que reciba almuerzo gratis o a precio reducido. Conecta a tu familia a nuevas posibilidades. Visita www.ebbparami.com para obtener más información.
Today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with Paloma Perez. She is the press secretary for the Federal Communications Commission, and also Alejandro Rourke. He is the executive director for Hispanic Technology and Telecommunications Partnership. And we will be talking about internet affordability and the newly established Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, or we will also call it EBB. So our conversation today will also include an open forum so that our audience of digital inclusion advocates from across the country have the opportunity to get their questions answered and learn more about the bilingual resources available through the EBB Para Mi public awareness campaign designed to support our Latino families through every step of this enrollment process. I invite everyone to use the chat box to share your questions. I will be checking those questions throughout our conversation today. And please include the name of your organization along with your questions so we can follow up later. Please also make sure to join the conversation on social media, Instagram and Twitter, and make sure to use hashtag EBB Para Mi, hashtag EBB Para Mi. So, as we all know, today, access to an affordable broadband connection is directly linked to the Latino community's health and well-being, economic opportunity, and the primary means to connect and thrive in our 21st century digital economy. At the center of the Biden administration's strategy to extend digital opportunity to every home in the Federal Communications Commission. Today, I am happy to welcome Paloma Perez to share a little bit about her work at the FCC and the unique opportunity that is available to our Latino families to connect to the internet for little or no cost through the EBB, Emergency Broadband Benefit. Paloma, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before I introduce her. Paloma was appointed to serve as FCC press secretary in February of 2021. Prior to this role, she served as communications director for Congresswoman Xochitl Torres Small of New Mexico, also as deputy communications director and legislative aide to Congressman Mark Vesey of the state of Texas. Ahora sí, Paloma, muy bienvenida a esta conversación. Gracias por acompañarnos.
Gracias por tenerme hoy en día. Un placer y estoy muy emocionada para estar con ustedes hoy.
Gracias, nosotros igual estamos emocionados de tenerte aquí. And we are going to have this conversation in both English and Spanish. Paloma, siéntete libre de responder las preguntas en cualquiera de los dos idiomas. I am sure that everyone who's attending today speaks both and understands both languages. Y si no, yo también estaré haciendo algunas traducciones en español si es que es necesario. Primero que todo, Paloma, para mí es muy importante que comencemos explicándole a los presentes cuál es el trabajo de la Comisión Federal de Comunicaciones. En inglés, what is the FCC's main focus? So we understand a little bit of what you do.
Sí, claro. La Comisión Federal de Comunicaciones regula las comunicaciones interestatales y internacionales por radio, televisión, satélite, cable, en todos 50 estados, el Distrito de Colombia y los territorios de Estados Unidos, incluyendo Puerto Rico. Somos una agencia independiente del gobierno que está supervisado por el Congreso y nos encargamos de implementar y cumplir las leyes y regulaciones de comunicaciones en el país. So, for those in English, you need a little brief overview on what the FCC does. We all of your interstate international communications that's done by radio, TV, wire, satellite, cable, all across the country in DC, the territories, including Puerto Rico. We're an independent U.S. agency, which I think is important to know, but we are supervised by Congress. So oftentimes, in this case, Congress gave us a great task to set up the EBB program, but we're ultimately responsible for enforcing and implementing the country's communications law and regulations.
Excelente. Muchísimas gracias por esa explicación. Es un resumen prácticamente de lo que hace el FCC. But we know that affordability is the main factor most cited by the Latino community for why they don't yet have an at-home broadband subscription. Paloma, COVID-19 changed having internet access at home from a nice thing to have to a must-have. So how is the FCC working to ensure that low-income families are able to afford broadband at home? ¿Cómo es que el FCC trabaja o está trabajando en este proyecto para que los latinos en sus hogares tengan este acceso de banda ancha?
Pues hay varias maneras. Antes que lanzamos el programa de emergencia para Internet, que es el tema de hoy, existía un programa hace muchos años ahora que se llama Lifeline, en cual muchos hogares de bajos recursos pueden calificar por un descuento de $9.95 que se puede aplicar a su factura de teléfono y de Internet. Pero sabemos que hoy en día que el Internet cuesta mucho más que eso y por eso el Congreso nos ayudó a lanzar ese programa el programa de beneficios de Internet, en cual los hogares elegibles de bajos recursos que han tenido por varias razones dificultades pagar su factura pueden recibir hoy. Empezamos el 12 de mayo, un descuento de hasta $50 al mes o hasta $75 al mes, o si usted se encuentra en una tierra tribal. Además de eso, también es un nuevo programa para proveedores participantes que ofrecen un descuento de $100 también sobre una laptop, un desktop, equipo que nos ayuda a conectar al Internet. So, eso es un esfuerzo muy grande que hemos hecho últimamente. Iniciamos este programa en menos de 4 meses y para el tamaño que está, tenemos 3.2 mil millones en fondos, y para un programa de este tamaño fue muy rápido, aunque yo sé que sabemos que muchas familias han tenido muchas dificultades con este problema desde el principio de la pandemia, pero a lo menos podemos decir que la ayuda ha llegado.
Excelente, eso es lo más importante y pienso que es algo tan nuevo que tal vez poco a poco se van a ir corrigiendo algunas de las dudas y bueno, ahora estoy leyendo algunas preguntas que ya están enviando, pero eso lo vamos a responder después de nuestra conversación con Paloma, después de haber conversado con Alejandro, tal vez podemos presentar algunas de las preguntas que ya nos están enviando. So Paloma, what issue targeted the development of the EBB program? ¿Cuál fue la razón específica por la cual se inició? Y más o menos tenemos una idea, pero explícanos un poco más de cómo fue que se dieron cuenta de que este tipo de programa iba a ser necesario para las familias latinas.
No, claro, y es una buena pregunta porque sabemos que en este país hay estudios del Pew Research Center que compartieron durante la pandemia que más o menos 1/3 of broadband users, los que usan Internet, temaban que no iban a poder pagar su factura de Internet. Y esa tasa aumenta hasta 54% para hogares latinos. Sabemos que más de la mitad de familias latinas en este país no sabían cómo iban a pagar su factura de Internet. Entonces, gracias a muchos congresistas, senadores que se unieron con también grupos y latinos también que también han hecho este asunto una prioridad para el país, han creado este programa en respuesta a esas realidades que encontramos, que sabemos que en la comunidad latina durante la pandemia muchos perdieron su trabajo, sus horas en el trabajo también fueron menos que antes por restaurantes que cerraron, negocios que cerraron, y esa es la realidad que se encontraron muchas familias latinas, y por eso sabemos que este programa tiene el potencial de ofrecer un poco de ayuda por familias que ahorita hoy en día a lo mejor están encontrando trabajo, pero no están pagando el mismo nivel, o a lo mejor todavía no han regresado completamente.
Así es. Y acabas de mencionar un poco de cómo surgió el programa, ¿verdad? De que los congresistas y líderes comunitarios se unieron. So, you have worked, Paloma, in a Representative BC's office, which was a co-sponsor of the EBB program, or the bill. ¿Cómo se desarrolló este programa? ¿Nos puedes contar un poco de cómo se hizo realidad? How did this emergency relief program become a reality?
No, certainly. I've had the great benefit of working for bosses who have been amazing advocates, I think, for the Latino community, both in their digital connectivity needs and others. And I know from working in Congressman Vesey's office, he represents a majority Latino district. So he understands that the needs of the Latino community are front and center for him. And while obviously I can't speak to exactly how this bill came to pass, having worked in Congress and knowing kind of how this process works, usually what happens is you introduce a bill that gets wrapped up into a much larger package of proposals that es últimamente lo que pasó. En el fin de los últimos días de 2020, los senadores, los congresistas se unieron para pasar apoyo adicional para la pandemia y eso incluyó la ley que propuso el congresista BC, también que como dijo usted, los líderes comunitarios que también han intentado de demostrar por qué este asunto es tan importante y por qué de veras es algo que el Congreso tiene que enfrentar lo más pronto posible. Y lo que pasó fue el 27 de diciembre de 2020 pasaron esta ley, nos dio a la comisión 60 days, 60 días para como se dice, formar las reglas para este programa y después otros 60 días para de veras hacer todos los sistemas, trabajar con nuestros grupos en diferentes estados y comunidades locales para compartir materiales que hemos desarrollado, para compartir información sobre este programa. Fue un gran esfuerzo y no podría ser posible sin todas las personas que nombré no habían trabajado para la misma meta.
Increíble el trabajo, verdaderamente. Amazing work, what you've done, along with all those people that you just mentioned. What I find amazing is that there's already been more than 2 million households that have subscribed. Am I correct?
2.3 million in the first 3 weeks. So 2.3 millones hogares en menos de 3 semanas.
Increíble. O sea que este programa verdaderamente es de mucha ayuda para las personas, para las familias latinas, y les vamos a estar explicando hoy cómo es que estas familias se pueden registrar, cuáles son los requisitos para registrarse, y Paloma nos va a ayudar con esa información y muchísimo más. So now I would like to hear a summary of what the EBB program is and how does it work?
Sure. So I think in essence, the biggest thing to take away about the EBB program is that it is a temporary emergency program meant to offset the cost of internet service that you can find at home. That discount looks like $50 a month for a family, or for better put, a household, or $75 off a month if that household is on tribal lands. Para la persona que califica para este beneficio, lo que usted ve es un descuento en su factura de internet cada mes hasta que terminamos los fondos. Y eso es para personas que ya tienen servicio y a lo mejor necesitan ese descuento para que puedan usar ese dinero para comida, para la renta, cualquier cosa que necesita. O familias que hasta ahora a lo mejor no han podido tomar ventaja del servicio de internet que está disponible en su comunidad. So, últimamente eso de veras es el fin y punto del programa. Lo que usted debe saber es $50 de descuento al mes en su factura de internet, y para unos proveedores que han participado en este programa también puede recibir un descuento de $100 para una laptop o un desktop o una computadora, algo así.
Wow, excelente. Y pienso que en esta pandemia, no pienso, es que se sabe que en esta pandemia muchos han sido afectados y muchas personas no han tenido ese acceso, y es por eso que ahora existe este programa que, como había mencionado, y es muy importante resaltar que es temporal, ¿verdad?
Sí, la realidad es que este programa sí es temporal, pero sabemos que la necesidad va a seguir después de que este programa termina, y todavía ahora estamos trabajando con nuestros representantes en el Congreso para ver qué podría un programa que puede, what's the long successor program for this? Últimamente, ¿qué podría ser la solución más permanente? Porque sabemos que después que este programa termina, esas familias todavía van a necesitar conexiones. ¿Y qué podemos hacer de parte de la Comisión, trabajando con el Congreso, para de veras apoyar a las familias que sabemos que hoy en día están trabajando muy duros para pagar la vivienda que cada día está subiendo, y qué apoyo necesitan para seguir conectados?
Así es. Pero la buena noticia es de que por el momento no hay como una fecha en la que vence ni nada. Ahorita se sabe que es temporal porque se está trabajando en un proyecto más amplio. Sin embargo, no es que tenemos una fecha en la que decimos hasta este día es de que van a poder tener esta ayuda, sino que por el momento es hasta el siguiente aviso. ¿Es correcto eso?
So, la manera en cual trabaja el programa, los fondos de 3.2 mil millones, el programa termina hasta que esos ya se agüitan, o 6 meses después que la pandemia se declara que ya terminó. So, depende de la manera. Pero ahora, hoy en día, sabemos que tenemos fondos por varios meses. Vamos a tener un poco más información específica después que los proveedores nos den su información sobre el primer mes de reclamos, como decir, porque ellos de veras que reciben el dinero y pasan el descuento al hogar. Pero sabemos que hoy en día ese programa va a lo menos durar varios meses y por eso es muy importante que familias que son elegibles, que vamos a platicar un poquito más tarde sobre qué son esas categorías, que se inscriben lo más pronto posible, porque lo más rápido que te inscribes, más tiempo vas a poder recibir esa ayuda.
Así es, lo más importante y la razón por la que tenemos esta conversación es para que estas personas que son líderes comunitarios puedan ayudar y asistir a esas familias que necesitan esta ayuda mientras esté a nuestra disposición. Hay que sacarle el provecho máximo, ¿verdad?, a esta ayuda que nos están otorgando. Así que acabas de mencionar de quiénes califican y quiénes no califican. Paloma, who can receive this benefit? ¿Quiénes son las personas? ¿Cuáles son los requisitos para, mejor dicho, recibir este beneficio?
Hay 5 maneras que puedes calificar y solamente tienes que calificar con una categoría. No tienes que tener todos los 5 requisitos, nada más uno. El primero es hogares que califican mediante el uso de programas sociales como SNAP, Medicaid, Lifeline, o si if your income is 135% of the federal poverty level, es la primera categoría. La segunda categoría, si su hijo, su hija, alguien en su hogar recibe, ¿cómo se dice? Free and reduced school lunch. Si recibe ayuda para que su alimentación en la escuela se reciba gratis o lo recibe con un descuento, también usted puede calificar. Y eso lo quiero ser específico, que unas escuelas en este país, toda la escuela califica. Y entonces cada hogar en esa escuela calificaría también. Pero también sabemos que en otros lugares ese beneficio o esa ayuda, es individual y también ese hogar calificaría por esa manera. La tercera categoría sería si una persona en su hogar, usted, su hija, recibió un Federal Pell Grant, una beca del gobierno federal para asistir a la universidad en el último año, o si usted participa en un programa ya de los proveedores de Internet que son específicamente para bajos hogares, también usted puede aplicar ahora ese nuevo descuento a ese programa y a lo mejor le sale gratis. Y la última categoría es o si usted sufrió una pérdida de ingresos desde el 29 de febrero del 2020. Y eso lo puede comprobar con el employment claim, with a furlough notice, y las calificaciones sobre esa categoría son mientras que usted ganó menos de $99,000 para una persona individual o if you earned $198,000 para una pareja. 5 maneras de calificar. Toda esta información existe en nuestro web sitio de fcc.gov/broadband benefit. Y yo sé que también Alejandro va a compartir información sobre esas categorías, pero hay varias maneras de calificar y de veras el Congreso nos dio esa oportunidad de veras intentar de inscribir la mayoría de la gente que de veras ha sufrido dificultades para conectarse al Internet el último año.
Uh-huh. Excelente, Paloma. La página web, ¿podrías repetirla? Yo sé que también tenemos la página de EBB Para Mi y que los recursos están en español, pero tú acabas de otorgar una distinta.
Sí, claro. La página del FCC, donde pueden encontrar información también en español y varias maneras de aprender sobre el programa, incluyendo otro video de mi parte, donde explico el programa, quién califica, qué es, etcétera. Esa página es fcc.gov/broadband benefit. Y también lo puedo poner en el chat después que Alejandro está dando su presentación.
Excelente. Y bueno, hablando de Alejandro, le vamos a hacer una introducción. Alejandro, I want to welcome Alejandro Rourke, Executive Director for HTTP. Bienvenido, por favor, únete a esta conversación. I know you have very important information to share with our people. And I know that HTTP was very involved from the very beginning to ensure that the needs of Latino families were central to the development and implementation of EBB program. Could you share with us some deeper context into what Latino households experienced during this global health crisis and why having an at-home broadband connection is essential to a safe and equitable economic recovery?
Thank you, Silvana. Paloma, it's great to see you. I love that we're having this conversation. We're making it available in both English and Spanish. Like you said, I would really love to take this opportunity to provide some deeper context about, the importance of broadband for Latino families and to what we really have experienced as a community in regards to COVID-19. So throughout the course of the global health crisis, COVID exposed the depth of the digital divide and the important and essential role that broadband plays in sustaining critical aspects of our everyday lives. As COVID infection grows, so did the digital fault lines between those who have an at-home internet connection and those who don't. We all saw this picture, right, which went viral of two Latina students attempting to do their homework in the parking lot of a Taco Bell as in-person classes were canceled and moved entirely online. We also saw pictures of Latinos who faced some of the largest job losses due to the pandemic, specifically Latino women, many who work in the service industry and whose jobs disappeared overnight. We saw them standing in long lines in order to apply for unemployment benefits. We know that Latinos, along with other communities of color, have experienced severe harm by the economic fallout of the pandemic, accounting for almost 23% of the initial job losses, even though that we are only 18% of the total population of the United States. Women specifically in general accounted for 100% of the US job losses in December of 2020, with Latino women accounting for 45% of that job loss. And as vaccines became available, we began seeing pictures like this, of empty vaccination sites located in predominantly Latino neighborhoods. We know now that's either because we were being targeted by misinformation about the vaccine, had limited availability to resources to conduct our own research, and because the primary way that anyone was able to get a vaccine in the early stages was by making an appointment online through outdated government websites. Each of these pictures tell the story of what happens when Latino households don't have access to reliable, high-speed internet at home. The two little girls could have continued their classwork at home. The people who had to wait in long lines and expose themselves unnecessarily to the virus could have enrolled for unemployment benefits online and used the internet as a resource to either learn new skills or find another job in their area. And Latino households with an internet connection would have had a much easier access to credible information about the vaccine or be able to navigate the sometimes complicated government websites that would have allowed them to make a vaccine appointment early on. The families that were able to withstand some of the harshest impacts of the global health crisis were those that had a reliable broadband connection at home. And, as we dive deeper into this conversation, I think that it's important that we understand the digital divide by the numbers. So in their most recent findings published this year, Pew Research found that 65% of Latino households had a broadband connection at home, compared to 81% of white households. They also found that having an internet connection at home correlates directly with the average household income of that family. Those earning less than $50,000 a year are much less likely to have a broadband subscription. I think that it's also worth noting that the median household income for Latino households in 2019 was $56,000 a year, and that number went down significantly in 2020 due to job losses. They also showed that Latinos that are living in rural areas, about 3.2 million of us, in fact, are even less likely to have either broadband infrastructure available to us or a broadband not available to us at an affordable price. So what is the impact of that? The impact really is that Latino communities overall tend to be smartphone dependent, meaning that we have a cell phone, but no broadband access at home. And not surprisingly, that trend is also correlated with a family's household income. Lower income households are more likely to rely on a cell phone as their primary access point to the internet. And I think that what's important to also mention as a part of that is that these numbers show that someone in that household has a cell phone and has access to a data plan. Not that every member of the household has their own device and a data plan. And we all know that even with a cell phone service, I know that my cell phone works way better once I'm able to get home and connect it to my at-home Wi-Fi than it does when I'm out and about just connected to a cellular service. So it's not surprising that the primary issue that is stalling broadband adoption at home for Latino families is price. In fact, the majority of smartphone-dependent respondents cite affordability as the number one reason for not having an at-home broadband connection. So what happens when our community is not digitally connected? When our families have limited access to the internet and limited speeds, our community in turn has limited access to opportunity and the availability to learn new digital skills, which result in limited possibilities across the board. Limited possibilities in education, limited opportunities in health, and limited possibilities for economic mobility. But as Paloma mentioned in her remarks, the FCC has just launched a new emergency broadband benefit, which can help Latino households subscribe to an at-home internet service for the first time or help cover the cost of a family's existing service. The emergency broadband benefit offers a discount paid directly to the internet service provider of your choice of up to $50 a month, as well as a one-time discount of up to $100 that can be used toward the purchase of a laptop, desktop, or a tablet, depending on the participating internet service provider. HCTP worked closely with Congress and with the FCC to ensure that all Latino families were able to access this important benefit. And to us, that meant even mixed status families. As long as one member of your household has an ITIN number or has a student that qualifies for free or reduced lunch program, you qualify and can take advantage of this important discount. So the goal right now for all of us, I think that a lot of the people that are joining us today are themselves local community advocates or digital inclusion advocates that have been working to ensure that digital opportunity is available to every person in their community. So the goal right now is to enroll as many members of the Latino community as possible. But even that process requires some unique considerations and a level of digital preparedness that some Latino households don't yet have. And that's why HCTP launched EBB Para Mi, a national public awareness campaign presented in collaboration with national Latino civil rights organizations and influential Latina leaders across the country to encourage Latino households, many of whom face compounding barriers to sustaining an at-home broadband connection, to help them take the first step towards digital opportunity by enrolling in the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. So as we work to connect Latino households, it's important to consider that many of them have never had an at-home broadband connection. They will need more help than just the enrollment process for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. They'll need help and support understanding how to choose an internet service provider and how to select an internet service plan that meets the needs of their families and, most importantly, their budget in the long term. This unique platform is not only a resource for Latino consumers who would like more information about the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program or how to apply, but we've also ensured that we have a whole host of ready-to-use community outreach resources that community advocates such as yourselves and those that are tuning in with us today can use to spread the word about the availability of the program. And we've even put together a step-by-step guide for digital navigators so that you all can support Latino households through every step of the application process and help them make the right decisions as it pertains to internet service providers and to choosing a plan that fits their family's needs. So we encourage everyone to explore the resources that are available in both English and Spanish and help spread the word about this new important resource by visiting ebbparami.org. And I actually want to take you guys there and share a little bit about what that platform looks like. So let me just switch my screen right here and share this screen. So this is what the platform looks like. When you go to ebbparami.org, you will be taken to this screen and you'll immediately have the option of saying, I would like to engage in English or in Spanish. And I think, hopefully you can see this, but I think my computer froze, but hopefully you're seeing this. So if you look, there's buttons to enroll now. If you're ready to enroll, there's information about the campaign, about the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. There's resources to determine if you are eligible. And there's a quick link to a step-by-step guide for community advocates to help you guys enroll Latino households. It takes every person through the three, I think, important checkpoints, which is verifying your eligibility, choosing an internet service provider, and how to select a plan that meets your family's needs. And again, this online digital platform is presented in partnership with the majority of kind of national Latino organizations who are working day to day to ensure that we are all connected to digital opportunity. And then I think defining feature, I think, of this platform is, if you go up here to the enroll now, you'll be able to click on Am I eligible? And you'll get to see Silvana again walking us through the important various steps, and to walk us through the different eligibility criteria. We can choose if we click on choose an internet service provider, again, we'll see Silvana and her friendly face walking us through how to make those decisions, quick links to internet service providers in your state. And of course, again, a link to the step-by-step guide for community advocates. We also have, like I mentioned, digital resources. We have 5x7 postcards. They're ready to print and distribute. All you have to do is download the file. We have social media infographics available in both English and Spanish. We will be also rolling out more digital assets that you can share on your social media channels that have information about the program and have different kind of storytelling components to kind of help everybody understand the importance of broadband in our everyday lives. And I think important to our community is ensuring that, as you guys are helping people enroll, as you know that people are enrolling, we want to make sure that we are improving the enrollment process every single step of the way. So there's also a link at the top to report a problem. And this is just a way for you to say, hey, I'm experiencing this. I would love some help with this. And also, I think kind of worth mentioning is that the FCC has a bilingual support center that helps answer your questions in many different languages in real time, 7 days a week. But if you kind of gone through that, maybe experience a problem with the internet service provider, we want to hear about it. And we want to work to ensure that the Latino community is having a good experience enrolling with the program and connecting to an internet service provider. And I think one of the parts that I think I'm really proud of is that all of these resources, if you click up here to Español, are all available in Spanish. The step-by-step guide, the step-by-step information, all of the great videos with Silvana, also available in Español for everybody to browse and peruse. Tenemos recursos. You're able to report a problem. Again, we'll update this form so it's in Spanish. But I mean, it really is, a platform that is made for the Latino community, by the Latino community, to just help them achieve that first rung of digital opportunity.
Excelente.
So that is what I have to share with us today. And I'm happy to kind of turn the floor back over to you, Silvana, and take any questions that people might have.
Thank you, Alejandro. Creo que es importante resaltar ahora, si es que es necesario decir un poco de lo que has dicho en español, de las cosas más importantes, primero que todo, creo que el hecho de que hayas mostrado las fotografías de las niñas, de las familias que estaban haciendo las líneas porque habían perdido sus trabajos y todo, demuestra verdaderamente cómo nosotros, las familias latinas, hemos sido afectados en esta crisis de salud por la que aún continuamos pasando. Ahora, la página web es ebbparami.org. Creo que Alejandro ha hecho un maravilloso trabajo para simplificar algo tan lleno de información que podría resultar o parecer un poco complicado. Sin embargo, Alejandro, muchísimas gracias por esa explicación porque hasta a mí me aclaraste algunas dudas en ese momento. Es muy fácil, ebbparami.org. Ya vieron todos los recursos que existen. Una de las cosas que me parece increíble que hayan agregado son esos postcards que te iba a preguntar, ¿se pueden compartir en social media? ¿O es printable? ¿O también se pueden compartir en social media, verdad?
Yes, they're printable postcards, they're social media graphics. Everything is available to help you spread the word in whatever medium that you choose.
Excelente. Y bueno, ahí está pienso que muy bien explicado. Pueden entrar a la página web, encontrarán las instrucciones en español y también en inglés. Algunos prefieren leer, lo van a encontrar todo escrito, y algunos prefieren escuchar o ver un video. Ahí estarán viendo también un video con un resumen de cómo o de qué se trata todo y del paso por paso. Creo que the step-by-step guide is very important to highlight. Pienso que hará muy simple este proceso de enrollment para ustedes, los que están presentes, y para ayudar a esas familias, ¿no?, en las que nos estamos enfocando el día de hoy. Ahora, Paloma y Alejandro, we do have questions already. ¿Quisieran ya comenzar con estas preguntas? ¿Están listos para responder alguna de las dudas?
We're ready.
Okay.
Here. Let's do it.
Voy a hacer la primera que... déjame abrirlo aquí en pantalla grande para poder leerlo de forma más fácil. No sé por qué. Bueno, ahí está. Ok, entonces, la primera pregunta es de Hannah, y así dice. Hi, my name is Hannah, and I represent Enterprising Latinas in Florida. I have been assisting our members to get access to the EBB, but I keep coming across many barriers and struggle with the internet providers. Habías mencionado algo sobre eso, Alejandro, en tu presentación. There seems to be a lot of misunderstanding between the internet providers about the program and guidelines. For example, Boost Mobile said that an applicant must have a social security number to apply and get benefits through them. To my understanding, through Lifeline, this isn't true. That means that eligible applicants are not getting access to the benefit through Boost Mobile unless they have a social security number. Ella también cuenta una experiencia muy parecida con Spectrum Communications. Dice que le dijeron de que you do not need the application number for the participant in order to sign them up for internet. Bueno, todas estas son confusiones muy parecidas. Alejandro, ¿cuál crees que sería la forma más apropiada para poder solucionar estos problemas?
Yeah, so first of all, these are exactly the questions and concerns and the problems that we want to hear about. You know, we want to work with Paloma at the FCC. You know, we work with a lot of internet service providers on our end. And then the more that you can share with us your experience, the more that we can work with these providers to ensure that information is consistent. And that's also why I think that we established the EBB Para Mi kind of online forum, so that you can really have access to exactly what the eligibility requirements are, how to apply, kind of walk through the application process. But one thing that I will kind of clear up right away is that, you know, the Lifeline program, for those that aren't familiar, is a low-cost program for low-income households, and that is different and separate than the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, although there's a lot of similarities. To qualify for the Lifeline program, you do need a Social Security number, but to qualify for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, you do not. You just need to meet one of the 5 criteria that Paloma described. That's also on the website. So if you have an ITIN number, if one of your students or children qualifies for free or reduced school lunch or have a Pell Grant, you can easily just check those boxes and qualify for the program from them. So those are all kind of questions that we want to hear from you. And I will make sure to touch base with our friends at Spectrum to ensure that we are all kind of working together to connect as many people as possible. So Paloma, I know that you have some insight on the way that internet service providers and the FCC have been, I know you've also been tracking these sticking points. Really curious to see what kind of insight you have that could share with us.
No, definitely. I think the issues that Hannah outlined are ones that we have heard before. And a big recommendation of something I really want to share with folks who are tuning in and kind of confronting these issues is we have a consumer complaint division at the FCC where you can detail those issues that you kind of outlined for us here. It's I can share the link in the chat as well, but it's consumercomplaints.fcc.gov. And when you fill out that form, that information goes directly to us at the FCC, and then we share that directly with the provider to work and resolve that issue. So not only does it help you get individualized response, but also helps us at the FCC see if there are providers who are just kind of formally having issues with verification issues, so we can reach out to them and figure out we can get to the root cause. So hopefully future folks who come back to, to that particular provider or others who are signing up as this program goes on won't be facing those same issues.
Yeah. And so, and that's part of what we, when we report a problem on the EBB Para Mi website, doesn't stay with us. We are also going to use the consumer complaint link that the Paloma shared to make sure that everybody understands these issues. I think our goal was just to consolidate all of those links and that whole process into one place so that you didn't have to kind of go looking for it. So there's quick links to how to apply online, which I think that we haven't really kind of chatted about. There's actually multiple ways to apply. So I don't know if Paloma, you want to walk us through the various ways that people don't have to just apply online. They can also apply by mail. Is that right?
That's right. There are three main ways to apply. One is, for example, if you go to the list, the Alejandro EBB Para Mi, and also on our FCC website. And if you find a provider that's participating in your area, you want to go directly to them, you can just do it, call them, let them know you qualify for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. Can I enroll through you? And many of those providers you can. Direct enrollment with the ISP. The second way is if you go to our website, getemergencybroadband.org, and you can derive directly online there. The third way, as Alejandro mentioned, is a mail-in application, which is also found on that website, but you can download it, send it to us at our PO box that's shared on our website, and we'll get back to you via mail because we recognize that for some folks, this program is helping discount internet service they already have, and for others, it's helping them get online for the first time. And with libraries still kind of, coming back up to speed and other, resources that you normally could go to have internet access, we wanted to make sure there was a mail-in application. And you can, as Alejandro mentioned before, we have our 7-day-a-week helpline that's has bilingual representatives to help walk you through that process and help you figure out where to download that application as well.
Acá hay una pregunta muy importante que habían mencionado ambos, más o menos hablaron sobre esto. Dice, since the program is temporary, how will services change for individuals and families when the program ends? Will they be responsible for taking over the costs of the plans? My concern is families won't be able to take over payments. Esto es algo que habíamos mencionado. Paloma, ¿nos puedes nuevamente repetir más o menos cómo esto haría una transición si fuera necesario?
Sí, sin problema. So that's a really important point of the program, that we try to build as many consumer protections into the rules. And one of those consumer rules, I think, addresses that question directly, that providers have to, one, they'll receive notice from us 30 to 45 days before the program ends, and thus have to communicate with the consumer, asking them, do they want to continue service with them? The automatic default, for example, if you don't respond to that notice, is your service will no longer be, because that we're trying to prevent any bill shock, continue, you forget to, call them, let them know you don't want it. The automatic default is to end service at the end of the program. So that's just kind of, so folks don't get, stuck with a larger bill when the program ends.
Yeah, and I think that I will also kind of add to that and just say, that's why I think that we're really encouraging Latino families who enroll in the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program to really think through what their family's unique connectivity needs are, because we don't want people signing up for a program that's too expensive for them to sustain in the long term, or have them overpay for services that in reality they don't need. And so I think that what's happening now, and the conversation is evolving. We are working with the internet service providers, and I know the FCC is as well, to ensure or to figure out how do we end the program in a way that's not going to result in people being kicked offline or being offline, right? And I can also speak to the fact that Representative BC and Congress and civil rights advocates like our members at HCTP are currently advocating for the emergency broadband benefit to become a permanent program. So there's two things that are happening. Number one, the initial allocation of funding is set to expire or to run through within the next kind of few months towards the end of the year. So that's one possible scenario. Two, there's already kind of a bill to allocate more funding to the program that's being considered, again, through the leadership of Representative BC's office. And like I said, we are all working with the FCC and with Congress to ensure that there is some type of program, whether it's the EBB or a different type of program, that is permanent and that helps provide relief and support for cost-sensitive consumers beyond the emergency broadband benefit program. So I wish that I had a more concrete answer to say this is exactly how it's going to happen. But I think that the more that we're able to hear from you guys, the more that we are able to connect with all of these kind of stakeholders to ensure that as the program sunsets or comes to an end, we are able to have and sustain a pathway to digital connectivity in the long term for Latino families. So please stay connected. Follow us on social media. We will definitely give you guys updates as we have them.
En español, un resumen de lo que Alejandro ha dicho es de que hay dos posibilidades. Una de que se expire este programa en los siguientes meses, todavía hay tiempo o al final del año. Y la segunda es la que están trabajando, es una propuesta nueva en la que se podría prolongar un tipo de ayuda que no necesariamente sería de EBB Program o el programa de EBB, pero que podría prolongar el tiempo para que estas familias todavía continúen recibiendo algún tipo de ayuda para su conexión de Internet. ¿Verdad, Alejandro?
Yes.
Ese es un resumen de lo que ha dicho más o menos. Y tenemos más preguntas, así que continuaremos antes de que se nos acabe el tiempo. This is a really good question. What happens to applicants who have outstanding balances with their current providers? ¿Hay algún tipo de ayuda que EBB podría otorgarles?
That's a great question. And actually, it's directly addressed in the program rules themselves. If you have an outstanding bill that doesn't preclude you, that means you can't be excluded from taking advantage of the EBB program. So even if you're past due on your bills, you can still use that $50 a month to either help pay for that or also get you back online.
Excelente.
That's great. That's something that I didn't know of. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So again, this discount is, a check being written, from taxpayer funds to the internet service providers. And again, it's to really kind of help low cost sensitive families really kind of overcome the financial barriers to having an at-home broadband subscription. So that is really great to know.
So, Paloma, para continuar lo que acabas de decir, es de que pueden utilizar estos $50 de ayuda mensuales en deuda que había permanecido de meses anteriores.
So it's essentially, it won't prevent you from using the service. So for example, if you come to your internet service provider, you had a past due bill of $80, you can come and say, like, I now have the emergency broadband benefit program. Can I still take advantage of it? And there's no reason they can't let you into that benefit.
Okay, excelente. Alejandro, hay una pregunta que dice, en EBB Para Mi, are there EBB digital navigators for households in Puerto Rico? Es Pedro Romero quien hizo la pregunta.
Yeah, so Pedro, I think when I say kind of digital navigators, I really mean you, me, Silvana, todos, right? We really, we are all kind of like, this is a grassroots kind of public education effort. And so we did the work of kind of creating, step-by-step guide and useful resources so that we can all kind of help each other navigate the enrollment process and how to make these important decisions about what internet service provider to subscribe to and what plan. So there isn't kind of like a formal kind of like EBB kind of navigator program, but there are a lot of nonprofit partners across the country who are partnering directly with the FCC, like we are, outreach partners to help ensure that there's trustworthy information coming from trusted resources and leaders in their communities. So, I mean, I think that is ideally what would happen, right? We would have kind of like a digital core of people that are out there on the ground. Some of our members that are participating as a part of our partner organizations are doing EBB enrollment pop-ups. We have a partner that's doing great work in California. Not yet have anything that has happened in Puerto Rico, but that's something that I could definitely bring up to our friends at LULAC National, who I know have a lot of LULAC members in Puerto Rico. So great question, and I'm happy to kind of pass that along to the leadership of these organizations.
Excelente, Alejandro. Muchas gracias por compartir esa información. Ya saben que en EBB Para Mi existe toda esa información que es necesaria para guiar a las personas que pueden ser beneficiadas con este programa. Hay una pregunta más, tenemos unos minutitos antes de terminar con la conversación, que dice, once the applicant receives their internet, what are they to expect from their internet speed? If it is slow, can they complain about it? Pienso que mientras tengan la conexión del internet, creo que es lo importante. Y algo muy importante que habían comentado ambos, Paloma y también Alejandro, es de que ellos, las personas o las familias, necesitan la guía de saber exactamente qué tipo de servicio necesitan. Ahora, mi pregunta, Alejandro, sería, ¿quién es la persona correcta o en este caso el grupo correcto de preguntarle, ok, esta persona usa su computadora para conectarse para llamadas en Zoom con reuniones de trabajo y en casa también su hijo va a la escuela en casa? Entonces, ¿quién es la persona que te puede guiar sobre qué internet elegir? ¿Serían los proveedores directamente?
Yeah, sí, cada proveedor tiene sus programas distintos. And so I think it really, for that question, I would answer it in two ways. Number one, if they are participating in the Lifeline program, there are specific kind of data caps, which is different than the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. For the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, the kind of defining feature is that, as customers, as consumers, we have the option to select whatever service plan we think best fits our needs. So for your family, it's a gigabit speed, which I don't need that. And in my family, there's like 3 and there's 5 people. I think it really is just about, going through the resources that are on EBB Para Mi, which kind of walks you through the type of questions to ask yourself as you're looking through the different service plans available. And then, the emergency broadband benefit gives you a discount to be able to pay for that. Ideally, we want people to, again, subscribe to a service plan that they can sustain in the long term. But also, if it's a short-term fix, you have up to $50 that you can allocate to your plan. We also just want to make sure that the people are ready to shoulder that expense. If you do choose a more expensive, $50 plus plan, to know that if the program does end, at that point, you will be able to choose whether you want to continue with that service or not. And ideally, we want you to stay connected. So the speed is completely up to you, and up to you to determine what are your unique kind of family needs.
Ok, excelente, Alejandro. Y finalmente, pienso que esta pregunta es muy fácil de responder antes de que se nos acabe. Tenemos unos 6 minutos para terminar la conversación. Lo han hecho 2 veces esta pregunta y por eso me parece importante de preguntarte a ti, Alejandro, directamente si el EBB, este programa, cubre los costos de instalación y de equipo.
So I would say, Paloma, you will maybe know the ins and outs a little bit more than I do. I know that there is a discount that's offered for, a connected device if it's offered through a participating provider. But it does also cover, I don't want to speak out of term. Do you mind answering that question?
Yeah. So I think the question ultimately is that when you get your internet bill, sometimes there are those charges for first-time installation or et cetera. The discount is agnostic. It's $50 off your internet bill, period. But whatever that cost is, it's $50 off. So if that includes it, that would be eligible. Some, providers don't include that as part of their bill, they send to consumers, but it's also made that $50 off whatever that bill is. Whatever you receive in the mail, $50 off that.
Excelente. Muy, muy simple. Muchísimas gracias a ambos, Alejandro, Paloma, por toda la información que nos han compartido. Thank you both so much for all of the information. I think it's very necessary. And now we have a better understanding of the resources that are available to Latino families to be able to register or enroll in this program, que va a hacer una diferencia muy, muy grande en la vida de las familias hispanas y latinas, que ya lo está haciendo. Más de 2 millones de familias ya se han registrado para este programa, como había comentado Paloma en el inicio de esta conversación, más de 2.3 millones en tan solo las 3 primeras semanas del debut de este programa. Así que es magnífico, hay que sacarle provecho y si es que tienen más preguntas, ya saben que existe la página web ebbparami.org. Además, les recomendamos a todos de que obtengan, bajen a sus computadoras el Step by Step Guide y que lo utilicen para guiarse mejor, para ayudar a esas familias. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, know that ebbparami.org has all of the information that is necessary to help these families enroll. There's already been over 2.3 million people or households in the first 3 weeks after its debut that have enrolled in this program and that have seen the benefits of this program. Know that there is a step-by-step guide available to every one of you, and that you can use the hashtag EBB Para Mi en social media to share this information. El propósito de esta conversación es de que todos podamos comprender qué tanta ayuda otorga este programa a las familias latinas en el país. Nuevamente, Paloma, Alejandro, thank you so much for all this information. A ustedes los presentes, muchísimas gracias. Mi nombre es Silvana Efio. And remember that the future belongs to those who are connected. So let's work to ensure that every person, regardless of race, income, or zip code, has access to the transformative power of the internet. Este es un mensaje específicamente de parte de Alejandro y de HTTP, que es muy importante reconocer. Nos cambia la vida estar conectados al internet. So thank you again all for joining us today.
COVID-19 showed us all the importance of having an at-home broadband connection. The FCC's new Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, or EBB, makes having internet access affordable for Latino households by providing up to $50 a month to help pay for the cost of your internet service. This new benefit is available to all Latino families, even mixed-status families, as long as someone in your household has an ITIN number or has a student who receives free or reduced school lunch. The time is now to connect your family to the future of everything. Learn how at ebbparami.org.